Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I'm so happy to have on Jesse Bloodgood. He has a killer EP out. It's called Wishful Thinker, and I'm super excited to talk to him all about it. Jesse, thank you for being here. How's it going? What's
Uh,
happening?
Thanks for having me, Austin. It's going pretty well.
Nice. I'm thrilled to hear that. Where in the world are you at the moment?
So I'm in Watkins Glen, New York. So like Finger Lakes
Nice.
region of New York.
Is it freezing?
Oh God, it's cold.
Okay.
Yeah, we just
Well,
got a little bit of snow. Thankfully, we didn't get the forecast was saying we were going to get like 10 inches of snow. Thankfully, that did not happen, but
oof.
it was enough, So
Damn.
yeah, chilly
Looking towards warmer days, that's for sure.
for sure.
And the thing about this record is like I think the setting kind of makes up how you feel in terms of where you're listening. For me, like indie rock always screams like warm weather, driving down the highway, beachy. But not that there's like a dark vibe about this, but I don't know. It feels accessible in all settings.
Hmm.
I have a million questions to ask you, but
Okay.
when did you record this and like what was going on
Yeah,
outside, I
so
suppose?
I guess the first thing that I'll say is I personally do not get beach vibes from this at all, like
No, you don't.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe it's because I live near the beach, so
Well,
everything's
no,
beach
but
vibes.
I know what you mean. Like there's just I was talking to a friend the other day and we were working on just a completely unrelated demo to this and uh I sent back a message to him. I'm like, this is like a song that I could just see myself like summertime riding with the windows down. He's like, oh, it's a window downer. I'm like, oh, that's a word. So apparently that's a phrase. I don't
Hell
know if he
yeah.
made it up or not, but yeah.
Anything can
So
become a verb if you add an
yeah,
ER
it,
to
it
it.
might as well be, right? Anyway, so yeah, with Wishful Thinker, so this was recorded with Plaid Dog Recording in Waltham, Massachusetts. For those who aren't familiar, um, I swear this is not a pitch. They did not ask me to talk about them, but I will
Oh,
because
you're
I think
good,
they're
man. I
great.
want to hear about all of it. You can plug whoever
Yeah.
you need to at this
Um,
point.
yeah, so basically, I'm sure you're familiar with crowdfunding campaigns, like
Yeah.
Kickstarter and that sort of thing. They do sort of their own in-house crowdfund, and they help artists record their EP, their album, their whatever they're going to be tracking by in part, half the mission is recording the music, the other half is helping you raise the money. So, they kind of talk you through the 2.5 month or 3 month campaign, kind of coach you a little bit, and so I'll admit, just from my own standpoint, as someone with crazy anxiety, it was difficult that
Yeah.
portion of it because you are, it's one of the toughest questions in the world is to ask people for money, especially when it's for something creative, like, oh,
Yeah.
give money to your art. But more people are willing than you'd think. So it is kind of a brilliant idea because essentially it's a recording studio that's like, hey, we want to help you pay us, right?
Yeah.
So that's basically what they do. And so I applied. You have to send in a little bit of information about yourself as well as a demo. The demo is not on this record. Actually, the demo is more of a window downer, to be honest.
Oh,
It's
okay. Well,
yeah,
maybe
it's
it'll
got
show up on a future record
yeah,
or
maybe, who
random
knows? But
single
it's
or something.
it's very unrelated. And the idea for me when I sent it was like I was just like going through old demos and things like I know I want to work with these guys. What can I do to convince them that I'm, like a good pick? And so like, oh, this one's catchy, and then I'm sure there was a little bit of a surprise when I sent my first demo for the sing or for the yeah, for the single. They're probably like, oh God, this is a little bit sadder than I thought, but all right.
I mean, it's
Uh,
not indie rock if there's not an air of sadness
right.
underlying the whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
So
honestly,
absolutely.
that's kind of what I like about this record. So I mean, obviously I urge everyone to listen to it, but it's four songs
Mhm.
and each song kind of has its own identity, which I really enjoyed. In like a classic record starting fashion, you really started off on a bright note. It kind of like immediately pulls you in. It's a bit hypnotizing in the
Mhm.
instrumentation. And honestly, dude, your vocals sound fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much, Austin.
Everything about it is good, but the vocals were a main standout. And as it goes on, again, I wouldn't say it goes darker, but it definitely becomes more, I want to say like singer-songwritery in a way, like lyric forward. And then the closing song is a bit of a slow burn as well,
Mhm.
which I really enjoyed. I want to talk about a few things, maybe like the recording process and maybe I guess like the blueprints of these songs, like what inspired them, what like, what made you write them?
Right. So the single was Tell Me What You Want, which is the third song on the EP. And so that was basically when I was going into this process, when it was all said and done, I even apologized to the producer. I said, "You just dealt with Jesse Bloodgood going through like two really." Can I curse on this, by the way?
You can say whatever you want.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're good.
going through two really shitty years of his life. Like,
Yeah,
just I dealing with anxiety and all sorts of things I don't need to get into. But just a bunch of we all go through it, and I was having a
yeah.
couple of years, and that was like right at the start of working with Plaid Dog. And so this first song is not the first song on the record, but the single. So the
Sure.
third song on the record, Tell Me What You Want. It was just a song about um, it's just really self-deprecating, really just unsatisfied with where I was personally, and then just saying like, well, fuck it, here we are, like
Yeah,
this is what I have to give right now, and I don't feel it's enough, but I'm gonna make it enough for now because sometimes you just gotta get by.
totally.
Um, so
I
yeah,
actually think it's just no, I was gonna say like, some people have journals or diaries and some
mm,
people write songs and they can kind of convey those emotions into the instrumentation. And I think like obviously we all go through tough times. I'm not diminishing what you're feeling,
oh no,
but
yeah,
at the same time, like it gives you the opportunity to get it all out on a page. Now that the record is out, you have this snapshot of your life from a time that you can go back to when times are better. And I also think the lyrics are not necessarily straightforward enough, but they're general enough for people to put their own feelings into it and kind of have you as an artist to, have a shoulder to lean on at the same
mm.
time.
Yeah, I think that the word that I would use for it is that the songs are for the most part accessible for that reason,
Yes. Yeah.
they're or even if you might not use the term relatable, accessible might apply just because there's, there's so many, kind of layered metaphors and different things that I'm talking about. And each song, even I'm not addressing, for the most part, not addressing one subject or one topic.
Right.
And I think because of that, you'll have these moments where things get really specific, but they don't stay there for too long. And
Sure.
so I think that listeners are able to kind of take it and make it what they want, which I think is brilliant. I not
Absolutely,
not
man.
brilliant to toot my own horn, but rather brilliant
No,
for any songwriter,
I get
right?
what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. Like
No, completely.
yeah, 5 out of 5. This guy, he knows what he's doing, right?
Right.
No,
Well,
but
right. Hey, and you know what? You should toot your own horn because, like I said, it's really good. No, but I
uh,
think at the same time, like, 99% of people that listen to music, like, you don't know the artist, you know their
mhm,
name, you know the name of the record or the song or whatever it is, but you don't know them as people. And I
mhm,
feel like if anyone listens to this and doesn't know who you are, it kind of gives them a feeling of who you are as a person and what you were going through. But again, accessible enough to impart their own feelings to it. I think that's really important, especially as an independent artist, um, of just like, I don't know, being real, because there's
mm,
so much music out there that is manipulated, or obviously like AI lyricism is
yeah,
becoming such a big thing, and people listen to music for the way that it makes them feel rather than like getting to know people. It's not the
mhm.
kind of music listener than I am. So I'm happy that you didn't beat around the bush and you actually put the message in there.
Sure, sure. I
Yeah.
would say like it's, I'll throw on some pop every once in a while if I'm,
Who
trying to get
doesn't,
get the
man?
laundry done or whatever, just
Yeah.
but other times you do want to actually sit with something and like there's just songs and they'll come from all sorts of different artists. You never know who's gonna um just knock you off your feet with even just one good track. Like I remember like a couple of years ago, I don't know if you're familiar with the song Try by Pink, but
Oh yeah, of course.
like I listened to that song too many times a couple of years ago, which probably also tells you a little bit about where I was during the writing of
It's
this
catchy,
record.
man, and the message is good.
Yeah, yeah, but I'm
And you
like,
know
I'm
what
like,
I'm
I just need to
saying?
get up in the morning, like I need to listen to this
Yeah.
song.
I I so understand what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Like, yeah, don't need to get into that, but like I get it, man. We all listen to whatever makes us happy in the moment.
Mhm.
I also think there's no such thing as guilty pleasure music.
Right, fair,
If it
fair.
makes you happy, dude, there's so much sadness in the world. Listen to whatever makes you happy.
I really love that take, especially just like uh, for songs that like the overplayed thing or whatever, it's like, well,
Right.
all right, if you want to listen to Pink Pony Club, listen to Pink Pony Club, like just do
We've
it.
all sung it in the car. You'd be lying to yourself if you
Yeah,
didn't.
I mean, if it's gonna make you feel good, you're right. Like, just enjoy it, and it doesn't have to be your favorite song, or even if it is,
Oh
who cares?
man.
But like, conversely, I do like spending time with with artists where, I mean, like, it's like some of my favorite songwriters are, Jackson Brown, Jim Croce, John Prine. These are, old folk
Of
artists that are
course.
writing stuff that's not what Wishful Thinker sounds like.
Right.
And, but they're just storytellers, and they make you
Exactly.
think. Like Carole King's another one, and some of the newer ones, like Regina Spektor would be one that would come to mind. But just people who are, when you think songwriter,
Yeah.
you think of them. And there's a long list, we could go on and on. I'm sure you've got
Yeah.
some that come to mind too. But
Of course.
and I think that is accessible in a way that pop isn't. So you think about pop, uh, Pink Pony Club, accessible because it's so listenable, right? Um,
Exactly.
and then for instance, just a songwriter like one of the ones that I mentioned, it's accessible because it's so human,
Yeah.
it's so thoughtful, and there's a lot of time put into it, and it's really neat.
Completely. I'm actually really happy that you brought that up. Obviously, there's so much songwriting going on in the record, and the influences you've said are some of my personal favorites. But I think instrumentally on this record, like obviously it's very rooted in indie rock, but there's also these little subgenres floating around. Were you inspired by anyone modern day, or I don't know, because it's so difficult to write like a fresh sounding indie rock song that hasn't been done before, but I do feel that you've navigated that in a way that pays homage but also kind of differentiates you, which is so difficult to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
would love to hear on that front.
well, thank you. I think that what I realize about influences is, unless I'm like purposely like, oh, like I want to write a song like this, which is rare, but it'll happen. Like you hear something,
Yeah.
you're like, damn, what is that? I want to do something like that, which is a fun exercise. A
Yeah.
lot of times I find myself realizing after the fact, right? Like I'm not thinking about it when it happens.
Sure.
A friend of mine the other day compared, I think he might have compared the title track to the front bottoms, which I'm like, I don't hear that at all, to be honest. But maybe I'm just tone deaf to it because I love the front bottoms. Like,
Sure. I mean,
and
there's only so many, chord structures in the world.
right, and
So
there's
people
going to
are going
be
to pick up on anything.
names that jump out to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Prior to Wishful Thinker, I would do some stuff that had more spoken word or even like some rap influence in it, or like shouting, kind of screaming stuff. And that's like straight up, you can tell, oh, this guy listens to 21 Pilots, like you can,
Sure, sure,
yeah.
sure.
But I don't think that was really as present for Wishful Thinker. And I think part of the reason why is the songs were written over like a year and a half period.
Okay.
So, I wrote the single. That's where I was at that moment, not just emotionally, but musically.
Yeah.
And so that's what we got out of me at that point in time. And then the single was released. I kind of went back to my HQ and worked on what I was doing. And it wasn't until maybe 9 months later that every single song, that the remainder of the album, was even finished.
Sure.
And then, by then I've been living life, and I've been listening to other things, and writing, and plenty of music's being written that's not gonna wind up on the EP. Um, but I think that when I listen to it now, um, I think a thing that I continue to just appreciate is that I struggle to be like able to find, oh man, you ripped off of that, didn't you? Like, which, sometimes as an artist, you unconsciously do that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those songs, for me, get put way over here somewhere, they get sidelined, like,
Because
oh,
you think they're too close?
oh yeah, thinking like, oh, like, you literally borrowed a lyric right there, didn't you? You didn't realize you did.
Oh,
Or,
okay.
like,
Yeah.
oh, that melody is it, I've heard that before.
Sure.
And so like those kind of go on the back burner. Let's revisit it and pick it apart when the time's right and do
Yeah.
something more original with it. With Wishful Thinker, I don't have one of those sticking out to me, which I think is a good thing.
Sure.
It not just, I mean, I don't mind there being obvious influences in art because of course there inherently are, but I think that it's refreshing to feel refreshed by your own music, especially when like I said, some of these songs are like 2 years old, and
Right.
for a while I hated listening to them because I kept hearing them over and over and over again. So
That's another thing that no one will ever understand is no one's heard your music as much as you have.
yeah.
And yeah, no, because you become your own worst enemy essentially, listening and looking for flaws in this and that. It kind of I always want to know, like, especially on full-length albums or EPs or whatever, what do you think the most difficult song was to write? Or I guess maybe finish. It could be in terms of lyricism or instrumentals or production, little things that you wanted to fix up.
So I'll start with what I think the easiest one might have been,
Yeah.
and it was Lighthouse Night Owl. This is the first track. And I think the reason it was so easy to do is because I I woke up one day and I was just so depressed, which is, that's kind of, you can kind of
Right.
pick up on that in the EP. But I was just like, why do I feel bad all the time? And then I got downstairs and was like working on music, kind of my routine, just let's work on something before the day gets started.
Yeah.
And I'm like going through this music and it's all just I mean, some of it's self-deprecating, a lot of it's really sad.
Like,
Like,
what is going on?
when was the last time I wrote a love song? So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna write a love song. Like,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna do that today.
sure.
And I think because there was, kind of like a this is an exercise sort of feeling at first when that process began. I, obviously we went back and tweaked some things and made it what it is today. But the actual lyrics and structure, like I wrote it in a day, which is
Yeah.
always something that's exciting to do as a songwriter because you got songs
Yeah.
that you never finish, so to
Right.
write one in a
Doing
day,
anything in a day is impressive.
yeah,
Some people spend
yeah,
a literal year rewriting lyrics.
right,
So yeah,
right.
a day is
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah, so that really felt good. As far as the most difficult, oh, man,
Right.
it was probably Cutting Room Floor, just the last track. That
Literally have that in my notes.
yeah, that
Yeah.
um, it's emotionally a really heavy song, and it obviously gets into some really heavy subject matter. Talking about things that like uh, probably some of them could have been reserved for therapy, but they ended up on the album anyway.
Yeah.
Um, but just because of the nature of the song, it was very difficult. And the whole time that I'm writing that, I'm thinking this song's never going to hear the light of day. Uh, but I had started that. I started writing that song so when I had gone out to Massachusetts, so it was like a 6 or 7 hour drive. So I'm staying at an Airbnb for the first when we're cutting the single. So during the nights, I'm at this Airbnb and they have a piano slash like digital organ thing in
Oh,
the Airbnb. I'm like, well, that's convenient. Also,
yeah.
like no one else lives here, so I can just play
Right.
this as late as I want.
Exactly.
So I wrote like the chorus and kind of had, some ideas. And then months and months later, I ended up writing the rest of the song. And what I did was I just went through all of these different notes. A lot of them were written for Cutting Room Floor. Some of them were written for other projects. And I
Yeah.
printed all of it out. I had like 14 pages of basically iPhone notes, like
Nice.
just laid out on the table. And I'm like, this is somehow going to be a song. And so it wasn't just difficult to write from, the emotional standpoint, but also there was this, how do I take, what's looking like 12 minutes of music and turn that into, I'm not sure how long the song is, but I think maybe like 4 minutes, like clocking a little
Yeah.
bit
Like
longer than
four and a
four.
half or something like that.
Um, and so there was some whittling down and some editing, and so that there was some technical difficulties, if you will, with
Sure.
making it into what it was today, as well as emotional.
Nice. Yeah, honestly, that's my pick. I obviously had a 25% chance of picking the right one, but just, but no, but honestly, just listening to it and like the complexities in it and the way that it does transform as a song, obviously the words as well,
Hmm.
it has to be the most difficult one. I'm happy that you managed to include it because it also kind of bears your soul at the same time.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think compared to the rest of the album, it's the obvious outlier. Um, but it kind of puts a nice capstone on what you heard previously. So I'm really happy that you
Yeah.
included it.
I appreciate
Um,
that.
of
The
course.
other item with that was that Ryan, the producer, he kind of got back to me when I first sent him that demo. It's the last one that we worked on because I would write the songs and we'd get on Zoom and just kind of pitch
Yeah.
ideas back and forth of what we could do. And he said to me, like, I didn't know you could play piano like that. I'm like, well, not to, really, I'll use the phrase again, toot my own horn here, but like
Right.
that's my first instrument. I learned music playing the piano. So
Oh,
probably
yeah.
this whole record should have been piano. But so I had been spending most of my time on guitar. And so uh it felt like a challenge to be like, all right,
Yeah.
how do we make this last song stick the landing? And how do we make it sound like a part of the EP, even though the
Totally.
instrumentation is going to be completely different? Like there's cello on it. Celia who played the
Sure.
cello, she did a great job. And I have to commend Ryan, who's he did the majority of the arrangement for that, and just the cello came out just so beautiful. And I think that all of that, of the different instrumentation, really, because it's different, it gives you sort of this cherry on, maybe not cherry on top, but just a one. Here's another thing to think about. Just before you go, like let's think about
Exactly.
this way instead, rather than, oh, here's one more rock song. Like I feel like it was
No,
kind
I
of a
know. Especially on a record that has four songs, there needs to be a
Mhm.
little bit of variation.
Sure.
And then you just kind of get caught up in it. It also kind of shows me, like me as a non-biased listener, knowing nothing about you and listening, like, oh, he's not just a one-trick pony. He's not
Sure.
just, you know, indie rock, guitar, and vocals. But no, I think the change in instrumentation works because I think that your vocals are the constant of the record. I think
Mhm.
everything is kind of like you as a person are the center of it, and everything else that's happening is background noise. Not literally background noise, but like it's a lyric forward record that happens to be rooted in rock. The
Mhm.
instrumentation is all variable
It's
and
complementary.
you can do whatever you want, and you did, and it worked.
Awesome. Yeah.
um I have a couple more for you. I want to know, like, is there anything about this record that you think is like important for people to know before they listen?
I think um I've been pitching the music to like college radio is one of the things I've been doing with it now that
Yeah,
it's recorded. And I have to include in there, hey, the last song talks about self-harm pretty outright.
sure.
Um, so I think, as far, if there was like a true disclaimer, that would probably be the only thing that I
Sure,
would think.
man.
But I think just from like like a like a bird's eye view of it, I would say that it's it gets loud, it gets pretty raw, and it gets pretty serious. But I think it's catchy, and I think it's accessible, and so I think that uh, most listeners can, if you've got a taste in rock music, I think you can enjoy it.
I agree. I don't think you need to enjoy rock to listen to this.
Mhm.
I think obviously it's a good stepping stone to get
Sure.
into it, but no, the accessibility of it all kind of opens it up to anyone, and I think it's good for anyone.
Awesome.
And so this record has been out for, I think, a couple weeks now.
Right.
Uh, and I know that it took a long time to put together. I guess I kind of want to wrap this thing up with being like, we're at the beginning of the year. The sky's the limit. What is going on this year in terms of anything? Like what, anything in the books?
So, I mean, I've got a handful of, like, little shows and things, mostly
Yeah.
just little festivals and things coming up, but we haven't really fully booked out. Um, I say we, like there's anyone else involved. I haven't I
That's
haven't
cool,
gotten
man.
I haven't booked anything. too significant. I've got a lot of friends. I found that uh, I have more friends and fans out of state because I spent so much time during the last 2 years when I wasn't working on recording the album. I was actually traveling around down south, so like through
Nice.
North Carolina and Georgia in particular, a little bit of Tennessee, and like I've got so many really cool friends down there who are all musicians, are all incredible, and I'm just dying to play some shows with all of them.
Yeah, man.
So I actually just did something crazy a couple of days ago, this past weekend. I drove 10 hours to see my friend Chris play. Chris and I have met one time. So
Where does he live? What's a 10-hour
he
drive?
was in like Chapel Hill area.
Okay,
Uh
okay.
yeah, so Chris Chisholm, he's a folk artist, very talented.
Sick.
Uh I drove down. I was gonna hop over to Asheville, which is like a 3 hour drive. I've got a lot of good friends in Asheville, but this storm came in. So I'm like,
Yeah.
well, shit, I should just get home. So I
Right.
drove 10 hours, watched like a 3 hour show, woke up the next day and drove 10 hours.
I
But
love the dedication.
yeah, but
I'm
no,
sure he was extremely grateful for you
yeah,
being there,
I've
but that is
I've gone
wild.
further for less. So
Yeah,
just as far as uh things to look out for, as you said, like this music's old to me, and I've been writing a lot since. I've been releasing these demos for something I'm calling Milestones, and
okay,
it's just home recorded on the piano stuff. It's a little bit more singer-songwritery than it is rock, just naturally because of the production value and because of instrumentation.
sure.
Um, but that's just sort of like a treat for anyone who's like, oh yeah, I really liked Wishful Thinker and I want to hear more. It's like, well, here's something that's actually new. So
Yeah,
these are
yeah.
just kind of demos I'm letting out on like Bandcamp and YouTube for
Cool.
now, and maybe eventually they'll become their own record, with a little bit better recording. But the first one of those, Toxins, just came out this past week.
Hell yeah.
Um, other than that, it's just trying to get this record listened to.
Totally.
So I mean, doing stuff like this, meeting up with you, this is great, and hopefully, listeners give the record a chance, check it out, and if
Yeah,
they like
man.
it, they stick around and wait for what's next.
That's the plan. Dude, you're awesome. Jesse, this was such a
Thank you.
pleasure to get to talk to you. I really mean that. Before we end this, please let me plug everything for you. So, if you've made it this far in the interview and you didn't know, I'm talking to Jesse Bloodgood. The EP is out now on all streaming platforms. It's called Wishful Thinker. We will have the links everywhere so that you can listen and share and follow along and stay tuned for whatever's next. Um, my last recommendation would be like when you listen, just click play on the first song and let it go through. Don't listen to individual singles. Don't listen on shuffle. It really resonates when you listen from start to finish. And Jesse, again, thank you so much for taking the time. It really means a lot.
Thank you so much, Austin. This was a lot of fun.
Hell yeah, this was a blast. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Stay warm,
I'll
and
do my
uh, and
best.
I hope to speak soon.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, take care. I'll talk to you later.
Yep,
See
bye.
ya.